Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Strong Collectors Podcast. I'm Dakota, here with my co-host Jordan, and today is going to be almost an extended What You Got, because Jordan, as we often do, are prowling the groups looking for good lots that we can help fund our action figure collecting. And in the most recent lot that Jordan was able to acquire, he picked up quite a few figures that we don't see very often. So today's going to be kind of a rare figure for Marvel Legends. We'll go through some of the ones that Jordan has, and then there'll be a few extras that we also don't see too often that we'll sort of mention. Obviously, there's probably some others that we're going to forget. But I thought it was kind of cool that we get to see some of these figures in person that at least I don't see in the groups. And that's kind of what we're basing this off of, is like how often they're seen in the groups, not necessarily how rare they actually are, because I know there's like some of those Toy Biz, like the Toy Biz Blue Wasp is, I think, the number one most rare. And then they've got some other like foil variant comics and different things like that that make figures more rare. But these are just more so like, what do you never come across in the groups, or, once in a blue moon. So, Jordan, what do we have today?
Yes. Well, I have a fun assortment. The first one I'm going to start with is going to be Jewel, the Jessica Jones, her superhero personality identity.
Mm-hmm.
This one is from, it's kind of like the white suit, I guess, for our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Guess did we say this is maybe more of a visual episode, but she came in the Defenders 5-pack. So it had her, Luke Cage, who I also have around here somewhere, and then Daredevil. I think it's the shirtless Iron Fist, right? Isn't he? With the dragon tattoo?
I think so, yeah.
Chest, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's kind of interesting just because, right? I mean, to my knowledge, they never reissued a Jewel, which, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe there's not like a huge demand, because I guess I haven't had people clamoring to buy it. But
Yeah.
I've never really seen it for sale, which is kind of like you said, it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to be like, what is the intersection between rarity and value? I
Mm-hmm.
guess like it could still be rare, but maybe not be super valuable, which
Yeah.
is kind of interesting to me.
And I mean, most of
Because if
these
you
you
ever,
have that you're showing us today, or you have up for sale. So I guess you could kind of share with us, like, because there's going to be a range here of what all these are going for. So what do you have Jewel listed,
right?
if you remember?
I want to say like 35, 40, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that's
Which,
not too expensive. I mean, it's obviously a little bit higher than some of the like cheapo figures, like the movie Captain Marvel stuff and like Tri-Sentinel Wave. Like those are usually around $10, but I mean, for a figure that you don't see too often, I mean, that's pretty cheap to add to your collection. Like, it almost makes me want to add her to my collection, but trying not to bury myself in cool action figures. So,
right.
but yeah, I mean, I think it is a cool costume design. Like, I like the pink hair. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's got the pink hair and yeah, kind of a unique costume. I mean, not really other people have this costume. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, it feels less like gummy than some of the female body molds they use. Like, it actually feels kind of sturdy. So, that's interesting. And then, I guess in a similar notion, I also have the Warbird, Miss Marvel. So when I was a kid, Dakota, this was Miss Marvel. This
Yes,
is what I remembered being Miss Marvel,
I agree.
who had a bit of a crush on, if I'm honest. So of course I had to track this toy down. No, I just kind of got it in a lot. But she is from the 3-pack,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, right? Was that with
Yes.
Radioactive Man and
Captain America, I think.
Captain America? Is that yeah? So Target. For the longest time, I didn't know TRU meant Toys R Us. Have you always known that?
Not always, but yeah, it was kind of one of those, like, after I realized, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And even still, like, it's not like super natural that I remember it.
Yeah. So This is another one. I guess she sold though. You and I were talking about this. She kind of spans from like 40 to, what did you say? You said there were some that were in like the 70 range
Yeah,
from
I
what
saw
this
some
seemed.
really high sales, which you never know if somebody's inflating that sale. Like,
Yeah.
but it seemed like there was just a huge range, and like there was several sales where it was pretty high.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I sold her for like 55, which is
Yeah.
probably on the, I don't know. I don't know.
I'd say that's
I mean,
mid to low range. I mean, obviously it's not as high as that $70 mark, but I mean, as far as Warbird Ms. Marvels go, that's to me, I think that's the best one that they have made. I'm surprised they haven't redone one. Maybe that's just because we have so many different like Captain Marvel like in the MCU now, so people are expecting more like that look.
yeah,
But
could be the branding. They want to reinforce that she is Captain Marvel, and
mm-hmm.
Miss Marvel is obviously now another character, so maybe
Right.
that would muddy the waters a bit. Um, but on that note, speaking of Captain Marvel, I have Captain Marvel from the All Father Wave here. So she's got her like glowing hand effects, which I think are actually pretty cool. They're
Yeah.
like, I have a hard time, like I haven't really tried to pry them. I can't tell. They almost look like, I don't know if they've just been sitting on her hands for so long. They're kind of stuck, but um, she's got like the mohawk thing going on, and then she has the extra head.
Mm-hmm.
So this one was from the All Father Wave. So another, which I don't know. You'd think, I haven't sold this one yet, and people always seem to be kind of like, at least in the McFarlane groups, we've always got people who are just sort of clamoring for the cool female figures,
Mm-hmm.
which I think these ones, all three of them that I just showed, are pretty well done.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
I mean, if you wanted like female figures on your Avengers team or Defenders or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
um, they would make sense to me. But again, I think she's one I'm trying to sell for like $25, and I don't think
Mm.
she's sold yet. So
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I don't know, I don't know, but it's interesting because we've gotten obviously the movie version of that costume essentially, but we haven't really seen
Right.
that read. So these are all three kind of figures that I don't know. Like you would think, in my opinion, they'd be a lot higher, just because like I really don't see them ever. Like I think I've seen the
Right.
Captain Marvel one for sale maybe like once,
Mm-hmm.
and I looked through quite a few sales posts. So um,
Yeah.
I don't know. Those ones are kind of interesting. I guess those are all more, not more recent. Probably the oldest rare one I have outside of Toy Biz is going to be the Dum Dum Dugan from a 2-pack with, gosh, who was he with? I want to say
Was that
this
with
was
just
back
another
when.
shield?
I don't think it actually was. It's like some kind of ninja or something. I don't know if we want to
Oh, yeah. You go ahead and keep
fact
talking.
check me on
I'll
that
look
one.
it up. Yeah, I'll fact
All
check
right,
you.
you fact check me. I'm gonna get Dum Dum all posed. I believe it was another, maybe it was a Target 2-pack. I mean, you can tell they were still in the transitioning from Toy Biz because these
Mm-hmm.
have like, you can look. He's got like this kind of pea size. His head looks
Yeah.
a little tiny.
It's kind of like
um,
the Zorn figure that you always made fun of.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
he came in the 2-pack with a white and black hand ninja.
See, yeah, that's what I thought. So, because then they also had a 2-pack with, what was it, Ronin and Elektra, I remember, or the Skrull Elektra.
Yes, yes.
So they were kind of in that phase of like testing out 2-packs because
Mm-hmm.
I know, remember at the tail end of Toy Biz we had the, not tail end, I don't know, when was that, the Face Off face-off figures.
I
Like
feel
they
like that was
kind
kind
of
of before
tested
the
that.
Build-A-Figures, yeah.
Maybe it was. So maybe that was like Hasbro trying to like get their footing on like should we do 2-packs or what do people want.
Mm-hmm.
This was kind of a cool feature though, is because you get Dum Dum Dugan, his little bowler hat and his mustache. But he also comes with, if I can get him out, 2 extra heads. One of which is like a generic shield guy
Yep, with
with
the
goggles and
goggles.
a helmet, and then you've got a Nick Fury head.
I think, Jordan, you've got an extra Nick Fury head. Because
You think so?
I'm looking at the 2-pack right now, and it only comes with
He
that.
doesn't have one?
Not a Nick Fury head, no.
I don't know where this head came from. Oh well. Well,
And that didn't come with the Nick Fury the Hasbro made? Like the
no.
later
No,
one?
it's the same. Like, they're like similar scale. I'll hold them up.
Oh, yeah, it's smaller than the
Yeah.
like single-carded Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I don't know. Because the single card Nick Fury I have, he comes with, a generic shield head too. So,
Right.
I don't know. I'll have to do
Okay.
some research on that.
Looks like there might have been Nick Fury that came also with a different hand ninja. So,
This guy maybe just
yeah, maybe the
threw
guy
that
that
head in there.
that bought it or that you bought it from didn't know that that was supposed to come with that.
Interesting.
Yeah, looks like he came with a red hand ninja, also with that same extra like regular shield agent head. So there you go. Whoever
There you
buys
go.
that Nick Fury Dum Dum
You
Dugan is
got a
getting a deal.
steal. Getting that free Nick Fury head. But yeah, that one I thought, I don't know, I understand, but I mean this one I sold.
Mm-hmm.
I think I sold them for like 35,
It's pretty good.
which is pretty good for how old it is, right? Because it
I mean,
kind of what
yeah, there's no
he
other Dum Dum that you can buy. So I mean, it seems like it at least would hold up, especially like if you had your army built shield group where you got Nick Fury, the new Mariah Hill or Quake, you've got the 3-pack agents, and then if he's just kind of in the crowd, I don't think he would stand out as like a sore thumb, kind of like the old Hasbro, the Hydra Goon. Like that Hydra Goon with the army of new Hydra Goons just sticks out like a sore thumb. It doesn't work.
doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be my other question. I've never really heard people talking about wanting. Have you heard people talk about wanting a new Dum Dum Dugan? I don't think so.
I have not.
But
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they gave us like maybe an updated Nick Fury and then add that head in there just because since we have the old one have this body kind of like they did with the Quake and Mariah Hill where it's like a 2-in-1, like you buy 2 of them and you can have 2 different characters even though it's the same body. Which it looks kind of like, I didn't look too closely at the 2-packs, but it looked kind of like that's what they did with this was just swap out the head, same figure.
Yeah, which I think for in that sense, I'm okay with that, just because I think that just gives you more use out of your figure.
I agree.
Rather than like trying to, make you go out and buy the exact same thing for the extra head. So yeah, he was kind of an interesting one that, like you said, if you had a shield team, you'd maybe want to add him to it. Trying to think who else I got. Well, am I allowed to do a non-legend? Is that allowed?
Sure.
I've got the Marvel Universe Goliath from the 3 3/4 line. So here I'll show you him to scale with another rare boy, which is the Giant Man Toy Biz. So he's a little bit shorter, which I don't know, maybe I don't know if he totally would fit with the Legends. Like, I have somebody who...
I mean, I think he kind of does. I don't think...
You think so? I don't know.
He's bigger, isn't he? I mean, comparing him to a regular Legend, I mean, obviously not quite on the Toy Biz scale, but he's bigger than a Hasbro Build-A-Figure. So, yeah, I mean, a 6-inch figure is
Yeah.
not really passing his leg much, so... Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it works. Um, but the Bill Foster Goliath, I remember him very prominently from the Civil War story. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Thor just destroys him. Um, but I'm surprised because this one, he goes, as I looked him up, and I think I sold him for like 80. So, I don't know. He seems, for being a 3 3/4, because they also have the 3 3/4 Galactus, right? But
Yes. Yeah.
they made a Galactus with him too? Did they make any other bigger figures? I'm trying to think.
They
They had
made
him.
the Giant Man
Was
scroll.
there a Sentinel? Was there a Sentinel?
I mean, there's the Days of Future Past Sentinel. I think that might be from that line that came with that Wolverine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's just those, the Bill Foster Goliath, the Skrull, Giant Man, maybe a Sentinel, and for sure a Galactus.
Yeah. So, maybe that could be one of your tiers, Dakota, when you get your your Giant Man with all his. Because I could see people wanting a Goliath. I don't know. I think it'd be fun to just have, rather than, if that was the case, have like a million variations of Giant Man, like have an actual different character. He's kind of fun though. I like his it's almost like a wrestler belt. He's got this utility belt with a big gold G on it, which is kind of fun. But yeah, I could see him working with your legends. If you want to have them.
Yeah, for sure.
Scaled in there. So both of those ones, of course, the Giant Man. You've got one yourself hanging out behind you. But we really hardly see him for sale, I would say. I mean,
especially a complete. Like, I'll see some odds and end pieces for him, but yeah, no, a complete one. It's pretty rare to find that in the groups for sure.
And even if you go to eBay, almost every listing is 200 plus. There's hardly any that are less than that, which
right.
I wonder, I'd be curious to know the distribution numbers of Toy Biz, because do you think that one's just rare because people were I don't want to track every single piece down?
It could be.
You know what I'm saying? In theory,
because that was a bajillion pieces you had to find. You had to buy Wolverine and the variant Wolverine. You had to buy. I don't think you had to buy the Sentry variant, but it's his boot and his leg are different pieces. His hand and his bicep are different pieces. So that does seem like Hasbro was kind of stretching there, or not Hasbro, but Toy Biz was kind of stretching, where they're like, oh, we got to get these figures sold. And they made a super cool Build-A-Figure. He's huge. Because I don't know, maybe that was they started realizing oh, we really overshot here with our Galactus and Sentinel that are humongous, and we can't put in a giant leg like that every time. So they had to break that into two pieces. Yeah. So maybe that was them kind of realizing they overextended.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm thinking is in theory, are there a whole bunch of Giant Mans out there, but just no one, not as many people assemble them because it was this is too, I don't know.
True.
I don't think.
And then especially when you get to when you go to get rid of your collection, if you were collecting as a kid and then oh, now I'm an adult, I don't want to collect any more action figures, and you just go donate it. It's nobody at the Goodwill is going to be oh man, I found a Giant Man boot. They're going to be this random broken toy garbage.
Trash.
Yeah.
So maybe there's just a landfill somewhere full of Giant Man Build-A-Figures.
Could be.
It's did you ever hear about that E.T. game on the Atari? It was so bad that everyone returned them, and then they just got sent to Mexico, and there's a giant landfill just full of ET video games.
I did not hear about that, but I could believe it.
So maybe. One never knows. So, yes, Giant Man, very cool, I will say. I think he's one that I'm struggling with. I have him listed kind of high as far as price goes, because there's part of me that is pulling
Hopes
that
he
old
doesn't sell.
trick. It's like, he doesn't sell. But he's good, man. I mean, you know that. He's a sturdy. I mean, that Galactus Apocalypse Giant Man trio is just.
Mm-hmm.
Those. Say what you will about Toy Biz. I think we've said this before off the podcast, but they went out in a blaze of glory.
That's true. They definitely did.
So, highly recommended if you can get a Giant Man for a good price. And then my next one, I have another box set. How do you want me to do this? Do you want me to try to hold them all up? Oh, what was that thing they were doing? Remember that 5-finger thing for a while?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I didn't either.
Okay. We've got the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive in 2012, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong. No, that's way too early.
I can fact check you.
That's
you go ahead and talk through the figures. I'll pull it up.
All right. Yeah, I'll talk to him. So you got Groot, mid-size. Groot. He's kind of a creepy-looking Groot. He's not really a cute Groot. He sort of has like a Monster Man face where he looks like he's about to eat you. So I kind of like that. And then he comes with a little baby potted Groot, which I think is fun. And then, of course, you got Rocket, along with Gamora, who's a little more of a, barbarian princess thing going on. She's got this big old sword, like a skull belt. This is a unique feature. She has a cloth cape, like more of a cloak, kind of, that you can put on here. And you can interchange it with the regular cape. So that's kind of fun. And then you've got Drax, which I like this Drax quite a bit. He's pretty cool. Very green. In the movies, they leaned him more towards gray than green. Mm-hmm. But this Drax is kind of cool. She's got his knives. So his big sort of, big boy knives. And then on his legs, he's got like these little tiny knives. And his hands have they have these gauntlets, but you can switch out the hands so they're like metal gloved hands or just his green hands. So that's kind of fun. I'm surprised because we haven't gotten a comic Drax other than him.
I think we had one in like a Terex. It was an early Hasbro, didn't we? There's the green screaming one, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you could be right. I don't know. But I just think it's interesting they've never retooled this body for another Drax. Or not even this body, but just this design. But it makes them cool. And this one's probably my favorite. Is Star-Lord in his more traditional comic look. Where he's got the mask, but he's also got a helmet thing on top, and he's got the insignia. It's kind of more in a uniform rather than wearing a t-shirt and a jacket. Right. Which I think is kind of fun. Just in the comics, he's a little more not as Chris Pratt-esque. So right. I think the toy kind of captures that more. So if you want your classic Guardians lineup that was basically from when they reintroduced them, that sort of defined the movie. This is sort of the set to have. And it goes, if you have it sealed, it's I think we looked at it, it was 300.
Yeah.
I saw one for $350.
Yeah.
So, I had them a little lower. I think you kind of told me to bump them up. I ended up putting them up for $225, I think somebody bought them.
Okay.
So.
Oh, they did buy them. Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is that's a good chunk to
Yeah.
spend on the Guardians, but I mean, I think they're pretty
Like you
cool.
said though, like as far as comic accurate Guardians, those are probably the best. Like you get a cloth cape Gamora, you get I think that's probably the coolest looking coolest looking Groot, even though it's not like the cute Groot that's in
Mm-hmm.
the MCU. Star-Lord looks cool. I mean, it's a good set to get your comic accurate Guardians for sure. And
Yep.
maybe they'll redo them, but it doesn't seem like it's a huge at the top of Hasbro's to-do list, especially when they just gave us a new Groot and Star-Lord in the Love and Thunder Wave. And I don't think that was, I mean, I think some people liked the Groot, but I mean, those are on clearance pretty much everywhere, so
Mm-hmm.
not the greatest figures in the world, but maybe if they were comic accurate, that might get some people excited. But I think there's so many other figures that people are wanting more than those.
Maybe when like the third Guardians movie comes out, though, sort of a because
Yeah.
they've kind of said that's like the last
Mm-hmm.
or last movie with that iteration of the team in the MCU. So I could see them doing like a last hurrah,
Mm-hmm.
get your comic Guardians or something. I don't know, or maybe
Yeah.
you know what they've been doing is big time. They've been putting the like retro first appearance suits in the MCU.
True.
So maybe like I guess Drax is pretty close, but maybe Groot will have that more like crazy form, or
Yeah.
Quill will get like a uniform or so. I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not.
A little less Ravager, a little more like professional. Nice. All right. So then you have,
Professional
I think,
Groot.
one more to show us.
I got one more, and this is topical because there is a new Marvel show out called She-Hulk. So this is from the A-Force pack, which they ran briefly in the comics. It was kind of like an all-female team of heroes. She-Hulk and her like almost reminds me of when she was on the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
Where
I think
it's
so
kind
too.
of like a, what do you call it? A onesie?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. She's not in like the ripped up clothes. It's more of a uniform. I don't really love it personally. I think the face is kind of off looking. And she has these weird like leg joints that aren't quite. They're not quite ball joints, but they almost function like them. I don't really understand
Interesting.
it. I almost wish you could see it.
Hmm.
It's weird. But I don't really see her for sale for very much, and I think I was able to sell her
Mm-hmm.
for like 55, which not bad.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think because I do like the newer Hasbro She-Hulks, but they're kind of more of that like savage She-Hulk look, where it's like just the tattered clothes, and like if you want more of like the She-Hulk that was on the Fantastic Four, or has been on different teams and stuff, that look seems a little harder to come by. I could see them.
Right.
I don't know. I could see why people would want a different looking She-Hulk, but kind of more the classic look. So I don't know. Maybe as She-Hulk progresses through the MCU, Hasbro will be more inclined to do more of her if she's a big player. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I have to assume that they would be making a new She-Hulk, like a more comic version of She-Hulk coming soon. I don't know which they would go with. I mean, they've got the retro style Fantastic Four packaging already made. It would kind of make sense to give us a Fantastic Four She-Hulk. But I think a lot of people want more of a classic She-Hulk look, kind of like that one. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that would be probably a missed opportunity on Hasbro's end to not give us a comic accurate She-Hulk. But then the show is going to end in whatever, like 6 episodes, and then the figure's not going to be available until next Christmas. So by then the hype might be wore down and people aren't going to be as excited for it. So we'll see.
Time will tell.
But yeah,
And then
I thought
you have
this.
some figures you were talking about from the A-Force pack, right?
Yeah, so I think this A-Force pack has got some of the most rare figures in it. I mean, I've seen the She-Hulk very once in a while. You've got the Lady Siff, I think, from this pack, which I think is super cool. I see her once in a while. Monica Rambeau is in this pack. I don't see her as often as the other two, but still once in a while. But some that I think I've only seen maybe once or twice is Elsa Bloodstone. And I couldn't tell you anything about that character, but she comes with like I'm pretty sure a shotgun and a rifle. So not sure what the character is, but seems pretty cool. And then one that
Monster
I've actually...
Hunter, Dakota.
Oh, a Monster Hunter. All right, that makes sense. She looks like one. She's got the weapons for it.
She could hunt down your mythic legions.
Yeah, definitely. I've thought about getting her because somebody wanted to trade, I don't know, something I had, and they had a incomplete. I think she was missing maybe her weapons, and I was tempted because, like I said, I've seen her once before that. But then the one that I've actually never seen in the
I
groups...
might need her for my monster displays, but yeah.
Good point. Yeah, you do have a lot of monsters for her. But the one figure that I've never seen in the groups, I don't think ever, is Singularity. And she kind of reminds me of the Doom or Danger Room chick from the Astonishing X-Men that was, I think, maybe in the Brood Wave. But she's kind of a blue, starry looking figure. Again, not sure who the figure is, but one from that pack that has got to be one of the more rare figures that I guess if people have her in their collection, they're just planning on keeping her. So I don't know if you've ever seen that figure posted in the groups, Jordan.
I haven't. I mean, I think I've of course seen the figure, but I've never... I don't think I've ever even seen anyone's... I just wonder how that works then, because do people just parcel out the ones they didn't want, or... Because I never really see them sold all together, like A-Force pack.
Yeah, so, I guess now that you say that, maybe I've seen the pack sold sealed once, maybe, or maybe somebody was looking for it. But yeah, like it does seem weird that like I know I've seen that Lady Siff once in a while. But I would think that would be somebody that people would want to hold on to because it's a Thor character, which is a little bit more mainstream than Elsa Bloodstone or Singularity, which like those are kind of more like off the wall characters that if you're just kind of trying to collect teams, they're not probably going to fit into those teams as easily as She-Hulk, Monica Rambeau, and yet those are the ones that we see more often. So I just find that kind of interesting from that pack. Again, kind of makes me want them just because they're so rare. And I think that Lady Siff is a really cool figure. She's bigger than I would have expected, and yeah, somehow I've got to get my hands on a Singularity. Cool. But on top of that, some figures that Jordan hasn't even acquired in his rare figure collection. I just made a short list of figures that I'm surprised that we haven't seen, kind of going off of the team's idea that you would think people would either be looking for or have in their collections that they would eventually sell at some point. From the Brood Queen Wave, I think it's probably the most surprising figure that I'm surprised we don't see more often of is Bucky. It's the only Bucky that we have that's based on the comics, and yet I think I've seen him once in the group. But if you've got a Captain America and you want his sidekick, this is the only one. So I guess maybe that's why it's not out in the groups too often, is because people are trying to hold on to it until maybe once we get a new updated version, then the groups will be flooded with the old. But another one from that wave too, and maybe the regular version is a little bit more surprising, but we've got the Marvel Girl from that wave. I think it's the Hope Summers. But then there's also a cosmic version of that, which I think is interesting, but again, not one that I've ever seen before. But I mean, I think the regular version would probably be more in your X-Men display, but I kind of like those like translucent, different variations of the figure. Like I've got the see-through vision. I've got the phasing Wonder Man. But yeah, another one that I think is surprising that we don't see more people wanting to find from the Ronin Wave. I mean, that whole wave is kind of, you don't see very often. I think that's a lot of, maybe that's like a lot of Fantastic Four characters, but the one from that group that I'm surprised about is Mole Man. Like, I don't see people posting him in their collections. I don't see him for sale ever. Another one that I don't think I've actually ever seen for sale. So yeah, just kind of interesting. I mean, obviously there's some other rare ones from like all that early Hasbro.
Right.
There's not a ton of those figures around, and like they're not the greatest figures in the world. So like the Fin Fang Foom Wave, you don't see too often, which I actually see some of those figures more often than the ones we've talked about.
I also do, yeah.
Like, I mean,
I was surprised. I saw the End Hulk selling recently loose, but it was like $30, which I was like, oh, is that a steal? And then I looked it up, and that's about what he's going for, which is like,
right.
That seems like a Hulk people would want. Like he's the Hulk from the future where he's fighting the last man on Earth and he's fighting giant radioactive cockroaches. Like, I don't know. That sounds kind of like a cool Hulk, but apparently he's only worth $30. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Not sure about. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Fin Fang
I again
film,
wonder what the production was like, because
you
don't see them, but they're not.
I mean, I think that was definitely during the dark days of Hasbro, where it just, I don't think distribution was what it is now, obviously, but then I thought that this Fin Fang Foom Wave was like split into 2 releases, where they released half the figures and then they released half the figures kind of a little bit down the road. I don't know what the gap time was. But I thought I had heard that on either somebody else's podcast or show. But yeah, I know that the completed.
If not, you heard it first here.
Yeah, start the rumors. But yeah, I know the complete Fin Fang Foom is obviously more rare to see. Like, that's not usually being sold in the groups very often. You see some of the knockoffs, and I think a lot of the value from that wave is in the figure pieces and not necessarily in the characters. Like you said, it's surprising that figure is so cheap. I think even the Red She-Hulk is kind of around that same price range, even though she's the only Red She-Hulk we've got. The King Hulk, I think he goes for like $40. He's not a great figure. I've had him before. He's got like single jointed joints that he doesn't really pose. Like him. Yeah, he doesn't really pose too well, so I was kind of disappointed in that. I'd like to see an update. Yeah, I mean, we've got the good Hulk body now, so give us a King Hulk on that one, and that would be awesome.
Oh.
That'd be a good seller.
Especially with the rumors of a World War Hulk project coming.
Yes. So, I mean, I think that's all I've got for the rare figures. Awesome. So, hope you enjoyed. If you've got any of these figures in your collection, especially some of those ones like Singularity or Elsa Bloodstone, Mole Man, Bucky, show us what your displays. How do you have them set up? Are they displayed? Are they good figures even? Like, is it just that everybody took Singularity out of the pack and she exploded, and that's why we don't see her in the groups ever? Show us some pictures. Send them to us on Instagram. You can find us at Strong Collectors, and make sure you're following. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm probably going to try to do a lot more editing because my Wi-Fi was terrible, very glitchy. So we might try to put in some figure photos on top of this one. Be a little bit more work, but might look cool for you guys. You probably would have realized that already because you're at the end of the show now, but hope you enjoyed that if I ended up doing it. If not, I hope you used your imagination. And until next time, stay strong.